My name's Todd Johnson. I'm the president and CEO here at the Chamber. And some of you know, however, I had almost 30 years in the restaurant business. So I understand what you guys feel and go through. And this is an important topic, what we're going to talk about today. And are certainly respectful of your time, and we will get done within the hour that, like we said. We will be doing a lot of questions and answers toward the end of this. But just some quick housekeeping first. I want to let you know that we are going to record this today. So in case any of you, for some reason, want to share it with either corporate or other restaurants, you're more than welcome to. There's really just, the agenda today is really two things. We're going to talk about the EDD cards, which has been all over the news, and the City Hall is probably tired of hearing about these, but this is a major problem and a major issue. So we're talking about that. We're obviously going to talk about the more restaurants have been bringing on parklets, we're running into some issues with, dine and dash. So we're going to talk about obviously some table maintenance and what restaurants can do to help prevent some of this, what the police are going to do, and what you should do, if this does happen. So what I would first like to do is introduce our mayor, Mayor Friedman, and he's going to just say a couple words, and then we'll get going. So I'll turn it over to you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you, Todd, and thank you all for joining. And I think this is really an important topic for all of us. We've seen the retail restaurant complexion changing ever since COVID started. We're doing everything a little bit differently, sometimes a lot differently than we have in the past. And I thank you all for working with us, keeping the restaurants open during COVID when we had only takeout service. It was a real service to our community that people were able to come out and even pick up food. And even now with our Open BH program, I know that the expense involved for the restaurants was significant, and we are thankful that you took advantage of it. We tried to partner with everyone so that it could become an affordable event. And as we all know, we're trying to expedite the permitting process as best we can, and we're not charging for it. So hopefully, and we see that so many people have taken advantage of it, hopefully it is going to be very good for your businesses, at least in the short run. And we all look forward to the day that we're able to open up, even if it's partially opening up for in-restaurant dining, as well as having the availability of the outdoor. So thank you all, and we are going to talk about some problems as we go on, but I'll wait for that to come up naturally.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. And what I'd like to now do is, of course, turn it over to Chief Coopwood, Assistant Chief of Police, who is going to lead us in this discussion. And if people do have questions, if you would, maybe either throw them over in the chat room or, throw your hand up or something, let me know. And that way we can kind of keep this to an organized chaos and not just too loose. So Chief Coopwood.
Thank you, Todd, and thank you everyone for being here. I might be remiss not to introduce the rest of our city leadership team, so I'm going to do that. You have Gabby Yap, who's our Deputy City Manager, on the call. You have Laura Byrie, who's our Marketing Outreach Manager, who's responsible directly for all of you on the call as far as communicating different city needs and requests. So I wanted to welcome Laura. And then we have Keith Sterling, who is our City Press Information Officer, who's been just extremely valuable with getting this information out to the media so you guys could have the trend, probably the biggest fraud trend that I've seen in the 26 years I've been a police officer. What do I do for the police department? So as the number 2 of the police department, I basically run the day-to-day operations of the police department. And I just wanted to kind of set the context of that job description of what I do, so you understand how big of a deal this is for the police department in the city. And Really, I wanted to start with the California Unemployment Department, Development Department fraud and identity theft we're seeing. And really, I'm going to spend a couple of minutes to tell you what's going on. So it could probably give you a better understanding of what the root, and really it's the root of the problem that you're seeing in your restaurants and that we're seeing with our increased criminal activity, criminal loitering, quality of life issues, the marijuana smoking in public, some of the problems we're having up and down Cannon with the cars, the high-end cars racing up and down the street. This is all attributed to this fraud and identity theft. A majority of it is. And what's happening is the EDD system is extremely easy to manipulate to get these fraudulent credit cards. Basically, what they do is they go onto the dark web. If you have poor credit, they can steal your ID for $10. If you have outstanding credit, they get it for $17. And they basically take real social security numbers with real date of births. And most of these breaches have been from Yahoo and Equifax. If you remember those breaches back in 2017, that's where they're getting millions of social security numbers and date of births. What they're doing is they're logging on to EDD, and within about 3 minutes is the fastest I've seen. It normally takes about 7 minutes for these criminals to jump on to the website and to basically create a fraudulent EDD card that can be backdated and loaded up with almost $20,000 per card. They do it in a mass format where they apply for as many as 50 cards at one time. And then they get them mailed to either PO boxes, to short-term rentals, or to just addresses that they feel safe to go grab mail at. So for anybody on the call, if you ever do get a bunch of EDD mail that is not yours or not your family's or your friends, and you have no idea what it is, you need to get a hold of your local police department so you could turn that in, because those are live EDD debit cards where they're able to withdraw $1,000 per day per card. And you can do the math. If it's $20,000 a card times 50 cards, you have a very rich individual very quickly. And what we're seeing is them going into your restaurants and using these fraudulent EDD cards. It's happened many, many times, and you may not have known that. So before we get into how you can help us with that part of it, we wanted really to set some context with that, because they're going up and down the business community. They're renting these short-term rentals. They're renting high-end luxury vehicles like Lamborghinis. They're dining at all of your restaurants, and they're up and down our community, business community, most especially Rodeo Drive, and they're shopping for high-end items. So we, as a result of all of this, probably, well, it was August 29th, we had deployed a bunch of personnel about 6 weeks into our business community, because we did see the increase in the loitering, the increase in the quality of life issues, and the increase in the nuisance-related complaints that everyone was sending our way. We discovered the root of the problem really August 29th, and as a result, we created a business district team that has been spending time within the areas of your restaurants and then along Rodeo Drive. They are working 7 days a week from 11 o'clock till 7 p.m. And again, they are addressing all of these quality of life issues that we've talked about, but during their stops, now we know what to look for. There's a media release and there's a bunch of information that we have on the chat room that'll give you some information, but in less than 2 weeks, we have arrested 44, almost actually it's 45 people now. We've seized about 130 of these fraudulent credit cards. These cards have a value of over $2.6 million. And then we've now eclipsed $300,000 in cash that we've seized from these individuals. Most concerning is we've recovered 7 firearms off these arrestees. And that is a big concern because I've been here 3.5 years and I don't remember ever recovering a gun off of Rodeo Drive or the surrounding area. And we have, in less than 2 weeks, we have 7 firearms that are part of this trend that we're seeing. So really, I wanted to share that piece with you. And you know, we can't tell you what to do. We can tell you what to do. We can suggest what to do. We can recommend what to do. We can't mandate what to do. I can tell you that a strong suggestion is not to accept the EDD cards. Those cards were meant for people who can't afford their rent, that can't afford to keep their utilities on, that need to feed their children, that need to clothe their children. And again, I'm speaking to a very professional group, and I think that's common sense, but it was not meant to go to $300-400 meals or shop for high-end merchandise or rent Lamborghinis or stay at some of the finest hotels we have in town. And that's what's occurring. So are we able to pull up that EDD card, a picture of the EDD card, and share it?
Yeah, Alex will bring it up here.
Okay, if we're able to, are we able to scroll down a little bit? Okay, that's perfect. So Bank of America is the bank that is responsible for all of the EDD cards. And then Visa is the vendor that distributes the money and the card. So on the back of the card, you can clearly see where it says EDD card. You know, again, I know every restaurant, you guys can take that off now. I know every restaurant may have a different policy on, you know, how you ask for a credit card, if you ask for ID or not. Again, it's a strong suggestion that you ask for an ID, a valid California, excuse me, a valid government ID, whether it's a driver's license. I would say California, but a majority of these people we're arresting are coming from out of the state. So it would be a valid driver's license and or a passport. And make sure it coincides with the credit card that you have, okay? And, you know, I've heard a lot of, not a lot, I've heard several business merchants, not on this call, but from, you know, other, you know, meetings, virtual meetings we've been on, where they've said it's illegal to ask for ID, okay? That is not true, okay? It is not illegal to ask for an ID. You can absolutely ask for an ID. If they refuse to give it to you, that is a different scenario based on Visa's policy or maybe even your corporate policy. Visa's policy, which we're working with their highest level of leadership right now, is currently that you can request it, but you cannot mandate it. Unless there is clear fraud going on, or for some reason, you know, the suspect is wanted, there's a couple ways you can ask for the ID, or you can mandate the ID. But you can absolutely request it. And it's very important that you hear that, because we are not going to be able to arrest our way out of this problem. We need your help in not accepting these cards, because once this criminal community realizes that they're not going to be able to eat at your restaurants with a bad card, and they're not going to be able to shop at our stores with the bad card, they're not going to be able to stay at our hotels with a bad card, and they're not going to be able to rent their luxury vehicles with a bad card. That's going to be 50% of the battle, and it's going to be a huge victory for this private-public partnership. Okay, so I'm more than happy to, when we go to the Q&A part of this, which I think is going to be the most valuable part of this meeting, to fill in any blanks that I may not have covered already. The city has worked together for the last 2 weeks to be very transparent about what's going on. We don't want there to be any confusion on what's occurring, and we don't want there to be any confusion on what the root of the problem and the root of the issues that you're seeing within your restaurants are. And we've sent 3 communications out already, and I know Alex has those that you can download. We would love for you to share those with all of your corporate, with all of your, your coworkers or any people that you have part of your networking Rolodex, because you're the force multiplier that we need to get this information out. We sent out a media release last night, and if you haven't already seen it all over the news, it's going to be all over the national news tonight. This is something that each community thought was occurring, but they didn't have their arms wrapped around it. The city of Beverly Hills uncovered it. And we are going to take this wave of momentum right now, and we're going to ride it to abate this problem. But we will not be able to abate this problem without everyone on this call doing their part. And that's very important that everyone hears that, because we do need your help in working through this part with us. The other part of it that I don't think is going to apply to you is, we talked about them being able to get large amounts of cash out, $1,000 per day. Really, that's more of a retail problem because they're coming in with large amounts of cash. And the IRS mandates you report $99.50 or more in cash, and makes you fill out a form and show valid ID. So if any of you do ever get a large party that has that kind of bill and they come in with cash, I don't know if that ever occurs, but just be very careful with, accepting a legitimate ID to fill out that form. Yesterday, we met with the very highest level of leadership from our local, our state, and our federal law enforcement partners. This includes LAPD, LASD, the U.S. Postal Inspector Service, the U.S. Department of Labor, United States Secret Service, and most importantly, and I think who's going to be the biggest impact in solving this part, is the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS. So we have created this, all of them are part of this fabric of this amazing umbrella that we're going to prosecute and adjudicate all of these arrestees that we've already taken into custody, and any future ones as well. Why am I bringing up this? The IRS and the United States Secret Service are going to start paying visits to the businesses, and they're going to make sure that your books are clean, and that they, and again, this really is not as much for the restaurants, but that you are doing everything you're supposed to do with taking large amounts of cash, taking legitimate credit cards. This is all going to be put under a microscope, because they feel the same way we do, that the businesses play a huge role in helping to abate this problem. So we wanted everyone to kind of know that, and be, again, very open with what's occurring. So again, you guys can potentially focus your staff's efforts on how to take credit cards and what we need from you, specifically with these EDD cards. I can tell you that it's not uncommon for us to arrest, people with as many as 10 of these cards with none of them in their names. So those are just kind of the things that we need your help with. But clearly, it's identifying the EDD card and then having a valid government ID that supports that EDD card, because we can't, if they have a valid EDD card and then a valid ID, you do have to accept the card, unless you have a policy where you just don't accept EDD cards, which is what some of our businesses have done. They have just decided we don't accept EDD cards, much like a business may not take American Express for whatever reason. So I really wanted to, we'll get into the Q&A in a little bit about if you have any questions. The next part I wanted to get into was the 537 PC, or defrauding the innkeeper, or dine and dash. I know you're seeing a lot of that. In fact, last night I read on the watch commander log, we had one at Mastro's and we had one at El Pastillo, and I'm seeing about 1 to 2 per week. And I can tell you, without even doing the analysis, that's we just don't have this problem. We have not had this problem since I've been here. And again, we've already identified from the debriefs of some of the suspects that that's what they're doing as part of this coming into town to do the shopping. They're also dining and dashing. And I'm just going to be quite honest with everybody on the group. 2 of the suspects that we debrief both advise independent of each other. They don't even know each other. That is just too easy to do it in Beverly Hills. So we need to have a conversation where maybe I can bring my staff out and we can look at ways, crime prevention ways, through environmental design maybe, where we can help make it harder to just get up and leave without paying your bill. And I know the parklets are a very good thing, and we're super happy as a city to have those installed, but maybe we can think of a way where we can make it a little bit harder for them to have to stay and pay their bill. But I guess what I don't mean to put Brian on the spot, but Brian, are you still on from Ocean Prime?
Yeah, we're here.
Okay, so really Brian shed light to this issue when we were having dinner over at his restaurant a month ago or so. And Brian, if you don't mind, just to kind of open up the dialogue a little bit, can you give me an example or 2 of what you're seeing that is, we talked about it being an increasing trend, but how are they doing it? What is the, we call it MO, modus operandi. What is the way that these suspects are coming in and doing this?
Well, we deal with a lot, here at our restaurant. The biggest, most egregious example, was for I think, was it $3,000 or $4,000? A group that came in, made a reservation for 6. It quickly turned into, a lot of joiners, and which puts us in violation of, social distancing and COVID protocol. But we're in the hospitality industry, we make things work. Multiple reservations coming in as part of the same group. All of a sudden, that 6 has now turned out to be a group of, say, 20 or maybe even 30, which seems crazy, but that's how that played out. And it's just kind of a swarm of people, a lot of cash being passed around, a lot of Instagram worthy moments, so to speak, and with extended dining areas and outdoor dining as it is, provides, like you say, that really easy opportunity just to disappear down the street. And leave us holding the bag here. This particular circumstance that we had, one individual decided that he was going to pay for all of this large group, and then had multiple cards that were all declined, and then said, "Hey, I'm going to call the bank," and then while doing so, just ran off down the street. So, like you say, it's opportunistic. A lot of times they've maybe planned to do that, and sometimes maybe they haven't, but they see the opportunity and they take it. So it becomes difficult.
Mark, let me add in something. Maria from Il Fornaio, because her microphone's not working, but what she's run into, she said a lot of times it seems like it's groups of 4 that come in and sit down. And in her case, they don't go to the front desk. They just sit themselves. And then when they're eating, in the middle of when they're eating is when they want to pay. And like Brian just said, the hospitality side, I think it's going to be, it'll obviously be challenged. "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't take this card." halfway through a meal. I'm sure a lot of the restaurant people may feel the same. So I'm not sure how to deal with that. The other issue she said is that, you know, or I guess her question is there still a police presence after 7 o'clock? Because she says most of the rude guests that she's running into more often or not are after 7 and closer to 10 o'clock. So what would you suggest?
Yeah, so the Rodeo Drive team, or excuse me, we're the business district team. It's not just Rodeo Drive. They service the entire business district. They do work those peak hours, and what we do, Todd, is you know, all of our deployments are data driven. So we look at the peak times to be out there, and all of our homework tells us to be out there between 11 and 7. Again, for a majority of the EDD, fraud and identity theft, and other quality of life issues that we're seeing as well. But the answer is, yeah, you have your geographical policing officers that have an area of responsibility every night. And what we can do is make an effort to have them check in with you as the GMs and really have that presence. I can tell you that that'll be a good starting point. But one thing that, and I'm not going to take credit for this because, you know, I know the mayor has, you know, had some ideas about this as well, and other people on the call, but is there any opportunity, again, I've never been in the restaurant business as well. Can you take a card before they sit down? Just like I would, or we would, if we were at a bar and wanted to open up a tab? Or is that totally against your culture in the restaurant industry? Because if we were able to do that, and you know, if you guys were willing and corporate was willing not to accept these EDD cards, and what I can tell you what a lot of businesses are doing, not a lot, several businesses are doing, we want more, is when you walk in the store, it simply says now, you know, welcome to wherever. We do not accept EDD cards. So right when you walk in, you know that those cards are not going to be accepted. And I'm just curious if that's an option, you know, that anybody thinks could be a possibility.
Todd, if I can just chime in on this, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
Okay. We have been meeting the city council with the police, well, you know, probably for the last 2 or 3 months, but now we're meeting weekly and really twice a week with the police department on issues relating to the fraud that's going on and other issues in our city. Our police resources are maxed out. We need to have help. And I don't mean just police enforcement on the ground. We're doing that. We've probably spent within the last couple months, probably, I think we're at about $1.6 million in overtime. So it's not that we're, as a city, not doing our part. We are, but we need to have the help. Now, Todd, being in the restaurant business, you and I have had this discussion. It's not hospitality-like to ask for a credit card in advance. I get it. I think that we need to change that culture, at least in the short run, because we're going to continue to have these problems. And again, it's a short run problem, I believe. We just got to get through this EDD card business. Obviously, at the end of a meal, it's going to be very difficult if an EDD card is given to the restaurant to say, no, we don't take it, because then the response from the person is going to be, well, I don't have anything else. Let me go to the ATM to get cash for it. And then they're never going to show up. I get it. I know as a restaurant patron, I hate, and you know, I'm 60 plus years old. I hate being asked for a card in advance. Now, having said that, when my young kids go to a bar, they are used to saying, somebody saying to them, let me open up a tab for you. Can I have your credit card? I think that something like that is necessary in the short run. And I hope that the individual restaurants or those who have corporate affiliations can find some way to do that in the short run. and it cannot be selective. It needs to be universal. In
Right.
other words, there should be something at the host stand that says, we require a card to open up a tab or something like that. I don't know what the exact verbiage would be, but it can't be on a selective basis. It needs to be on a universal basis. Again, for the short run.
Yeah, I'll address it real quick, and then I'll open it up to the restaurants, because it's two topics you're discussing. And I think my guess is a lot of the restaurants wouldn't have a problem saying, okay, we don't accept EDD cards. And you could put a sign up front saying, we politely tell you, we don't accept these cards. When you talk about taking a credit card at a bar, that's different, because that's almost expected. But I'm thinking, when I was running Lowry's, and if I have someone walk in and sit down at a table and they're there for this big celebration, or just a couple that are out for dinner, I say, can I get a credit card ahead of time? It's a tough ask. But I will throw it out to the restaurants. I mean, Brian or Vicky's on the, from Xi'an. So, I mean, I would ask them what their thoughts are on it. I would guess that, like I said, not accepting the EDD cards is probably not as big of an issue, but asking for a credit card ahead of time might be a challenge. So I'll open it up.
I have a comment on that. So we use Open Table for our guest management reservation system, which is pretty common. Open Table has the capacity to require a credit card through their system for every reservation. We've already begun to do that. You can also go to a reservation only system, which can affect your business in terms of your how much revenue you can bring in. So that's your own decision to make. But you can get a credit card up front through Open Table, and it's pretty convenient. And your guests you can kind of train your guests, so to speak, to expect that. But it's an easy way to do it. It works really well, and it's fully integrated.
No, that's a good point. I mean, so I'll let everyone else answer on that.
Well,
Vicky, what would you guys do?
Wait, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so we don't use Open Table, and we use Yelp, SeatMe. So we don't have that feature. As we are local neighboring restaurant, to ask credit card upfront is a slap on the face for people. It will get a horrible pushback. The business is already hard as is. I will absolutely just plainly say we don't take EDD card. I will post that in the front, if that is the only issue we're dealing with right now. And for us to get a credit card up front is almost not possible.
Right. How about Giacomino? Are you on? I see your name. Or anyone else for that matter, feel free to dial in. Christine?
My situation's a little different because I represent the Wallace Annenberg Center for the Performing Arts.
Yeah. Yours, that's good.
I'll definitely bring the information back. We're not, accepting any ticket income right now,
Right.
but.
Mr. Mayor, I would, look, maybe times are different. And, if restaurants want to move toward that and say, you know what, you have to have a credit card to come eat with us, maybe that's the case. I think restaurants are just trying to get people back in their facilities right now, and they've been hit so hard for the last 6 months. And this, I think Vicky's right. It probably would be kind of a slap in the face before you sit down, or when you sit down, kind of get a credit card before, because not everyone has Open Table. So, but you may have to go to that in order to stop some of this. Oh, wait, let me ask this. I guess how many people have experienced a dine and dash in the last, month or two because of the addition of parklets?
For me, double.
Oh, really?
Double,
You've had
double my dine-in business, not the entire revenue. So for me, I am strong takeout delivery, but this absolutely that people just, especially the resident, they love it. It to make them get out of their home. There's more. It's almost like a community. You can see people passing by, say hello to each other, and
Right.
as long as the restaurant keep the mask, the shield, all necessary measure, and keep social distancing, I think this is the best thing that the city ever collaborated with the restaurant. Everybody is packed. Everyone. Amazing. My dining business like doubled in no time. And it's word of mouth. It's have such a great atmosphere. And every patron asks the same question. How long do you think the city will allow you guys to keep this? We love it. So we say we don't know, you know? I mean, right now, the city is very sensitive and very cognizant of the challenge we all have. And considering all the businesses that we lost through the, through the last few months. So I say, look, I don't know. And the residents and the people, it's just, everybody's packed. I can tell you on Cannon Drive, including me, on Diane. We have not experienced this kind of energy on the street for quite a long time.
Okay.
Hi, this is Gigi from Oscala.
Hi, Gigi. Go ahead.
I'm glad her restaurant's doing better. A lot of the restaurants down the street, they have great patios. Where we're located, we can't have a parklet.
Right.
And then we know about the umbrella situation, which has cured itself. But for us, it's a no-go. I mean, we haven't had any, what I mean by no-go is we haven't had anybody, we won't be taking the EDD cards from now on. I didn't know this was a problem. It hasn't been a problem for us. And we haven't had any dine and dash. But what needs to change? You guys need to open the restaurants. Bottom line. Get tough, open our restaurants. Because this
Right.
really is affecting my restaurant. We have great to go, but people come to our restaurant to sit inside. And we put up partitions, it looks great. We've done so much, but for people that come into our restaurant, they want the atmosphere of being inside.
Sure.
Because we don't have a great patio. But you guys need to toughen up and open the restaurants. That's the bottom line.
What are your thoughts about the taking a credit card before they order?
No, because we're not having that problem. If it's a problem that, knock on wood, it doesn't start now. But we haven't had that problem. We really haven't. We have such repeat business that we know most of our customers.
Right.
But we won't, now that we're aware of this situation, we won't be taking it. We'll be putting little table tents. That's something everybody can do, is put a little table tent. So there's no denying that you're not taking these cards.
Right.
We'll have our host say it, but then they'll say, oh, well, the host didn't say it.
Yeah, my suspicion is, like I said, most restaurants aren't going to have an issue with saying we don't take EDD cards. I think and then I'm not sure how much of the dine and dash issues that overall the city's having. It may be more limited over toward Rodeo, frankly.
Hey, Todd, can I bring Laura Byrie on real quick, please?
Please, yeah.
Hey, Laura, my thoughts are we can meet together offline, that you can engage each one of these restaurants and let's, it'd be nice to be uniformed with the signage, and maybe I love the table tent idea. And then we can also poll each restaurant. Like I know Brian's had some problems at Ocean Prime, but La Scala doesn't sound like they're having the same issues. I think that would be helpful for us, for our directed deployment with the geographical policing officers, to know which areas they're going to need to focus on the dine and dash, but more importantly, be consistent with the signage and the messaging on the EDD cards for everybody who hopefully is going to participate. What are your thoughts?
Yes, happy to do that. We can create some consistent signage that would just basically say, you know, due to recent notification about fraud activity that was brought to our attention by the Beverly Hills Police Department, this location is currently not accepting EDD cards. And that kind of clearly warns everyone that the Beverly Hills Police Department is fully aware of what's occurring and gives you that kind of cover if anyone has any questions and why it is that at this time you're not accepting those cards.
Okay, good. And then Todd, I see the mayor and I have to leave in 10 minutes for another meeting together.
Sure, yeah.
So I want to open it up to, you know, just some Q&A on really any topic that the group may have. And then, you know, please share my name and number with everyone offline. We did leave you the two community releases that we've recently distributed. And then we just, we provided the media release from last night as well. So everybody has that in a PDF form. And again, please share that with everyone. But why don't we open it up to Q&A?
And if, Todd, if I just may answer the inquiry of Gigi, as far as opening the restaurants, the city of Beverly Hills will open the restaurants as soon as the county allows us to. We are mandated by the county as to what we can do in terms of opening businesses. So it's not a decision within the city, it's a decision by the County Department of Public Health.
Okay. Mark, do you want me, I can put your contact information in the chat. Do you want your cell in there or your work number or?
Yeah, no, for this group, give them my cell number, Todd, that's fine.
Okay. Anyone else got anything they need to, any dirty laundry they need to air out?
I actually did have a question on behalf of the Wallace, and I'm wondering if it's relevant to the conversation with the outdoor dining. We have this enormous outdoor space, the Promenade Terrace, which is currently going unused, and we do have a not finished catering kitchen, but you know, there is a space. And we had the idea, or I had the idea of, can we partner with some of the most local restaurants? And I'm hearing from some that don't have an outdoor space. And in the meantime, you know, is that a possibility? And who I would talk to find out what's allowed and what's not allowed.
This is Laura. I'd be happy to take that one. Christine, I'll offline with you. Magdalena Davis and myself would be happy to partner with you. We would use our Open BH program to be able to utilize your outdoor space. Most certainly, you have the ability to partner with an existing restaurant that has an existing alcohol license and an existing food license and the ability to serve, and we could consider that like a pop-up. We're most open to those kind of creative solutions at this time, and we love to hear about those kind of partnerships. So I'll offline with you on that.
Great, I'll put my information in the chat to you.
Perfect.
Thank you, Laura. Anyone else got anything?
Yes, hi, my name is Daniel, and this is going to be directed towards BHPD. I'm with the Loss Prevention Department at Neiman Marcus. We've been seeing EDD issues for, I would say, probably since about June. We're really active with credit card fraud, shoplifting, things like nature. My team is constantly doing surveillance, and we're always gathering intelligence, not always actionable, just because of our company policy. So we're, in the event that we do uncover something that's not going to be actionable to us, usually we would call, you know, dispatch if it's a case or something that we need to report. But if it's not actionable at the time, it's just merely intelligence. Say we gathered information, got a license plate, it's possible fraud, but we weren't able to confirm it. Is there an outlet or a certain area where we could communicate this without like inundating the, you know, dispatch?
Yeah, of course. Todd, if you can please share my email with everybody as well. And then Daniel, the best way, well, first of all, you're going to get to know our team very well because we need to partner with you on several things within your store. So we'll be in touch, but I want you to send me an email, and then I'm going to put you in touch with the captain who is overseeing this whole operation that we're doing. And we would love the information, and we want to really get inside the store with you and work on a few things that I think are going to help both you and the city.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Okay, so everyone, I do have Mark's number listed as well as his email for everyone. Mayor, do you want me to put your home address in there for everyone as well, or?
I think it's out there. It's out there already. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm going to have to leave because I do have to go to that meeting, and I've got to walk over to the police department. So
No problem.
may
I
have a couple
think
more
we're done. So,
Okay. Thank you, everybody, and we will all see you soon.
Thank you. Thank
Thank you for
you.
your time.
Before everyone signs off, I do want to let everyone know about
go
our
ahead, Blair.
webinar. Hi, everyone. Before you sign off, hang on just a second. Blair Schlechter, Vice President of Economic Development and Government Affairs here at the Beverly Hills Chamber of Commerce. Thanks for coming today. We actually have another webinar next week, which I think you all would be very interested in. It's called Managing Customer Expectations During COVID-19. Some establishments have talked to us about how to manage customers who don't want to wear masks and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of interesting issues in that respect that we're going to be talking about. We have Tom Blumenthal, the CEO of Geary's. We have Peter Garland, who owns Portovia, and then we have Larry Johnson, who directs the Small Business Development Center at El Camino College. So we're going to have a great discussion. I put the invite in the chat box. It's on September 24th, 3 p.m. It's complimentary. This is something we're doing in partnership with the City of Beverly Hills. So I encourage you to come to that. It's on our website. And please spread the word, because we're just trying to get the information out and communicate with people and helping people talk with each other, just like this forum is today. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Blair. Laura, anything else from the city?
Oh, thank you guys so much for your partnership. We really appreciate it. And we're so glad to hear the Parklets and the Open BH program is working so well. Thank you to the Chamber for being such great partners on that, and look forward to seeing more excitement out there and getting our restaurants and everything back open safely soon.
Okay, everyone stay safe. And if you need anything, I think everyone knows how to get a hold of me. But anyway, have a great rest of your day and stay safe.